right. So welcome everyone to season 3, episode 12. This is another DPF on Tap episode, and we're going to dive into the latest Phillies talk, beer talk, and talk about all things Philly. Today's episode, as you can see to my left, is very special because we're joined by the legendary Glen Macnow. Philly sports icon, writer, broadcaster, all-around great guy. Glen's here to talk about his career, beer, Stratomatic, Micheladas, which we'll get into in a moment, and maybe a few stories of, your career here that we're going to ask. We're going to be cracking open some cold ones from Conshohocken Brewing because what's better than a great conversation with great beer?
You got it. My pleasure.
So grab a seat, pour yourself a cold one, and get ready for a fun, insightful day. And Glenn, you're going to start us off with the Michelada.
I am.
Macnow Micheladas.
Yes, because this being Cinco de Mayo, it seemed like the right thing to do, and I have the right beer to do it. So this is my Michelada recipe, which is pretty much everybody's Michelada recipe. You start with kosher salt and tagine, which is a nice kind of salty spice. You rub get the glasses going here to get the edges going. Probably should have done this before we got on the air. Feel free to ask me anything else as I'm doing this. This is going to take a little bit of time. There we go. We do this. How many of these am I making?
I think 4 is good.
4 is good. Okay.
Yeah. 4 of us, and then the audience will have to fend for themselves. They know the recipe now, Glenn.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. So this is the first part, right? There you go. All right. Now, whoops, this one didn't work. Good enough. All right, I take tomato juice, usually about 2 to 3 ounces per. So let's do that. I appreciate that you have the Conchi glasses here among your fine glasswork. By the way, you guys do great art. Your logo is terrific.
Oh, thank you.
You guys
appreciate that.
Smart marketers. I'll give you that. All right, there you go.
Beer and Phillies. It's tough to go wrong.
Right, easy peasy. This is a very simple recipe, and then I take some of this. You want to use a nice lager for this thing, a lager or pilsner. Pour that baby right up to the top. I know I'm pouring fast. I'm getting a lot of foam. I'm trying to keep this thing moving here. Good. I don't want a lot of dead air here, Let's get one more going. All right, you boys know how to drink during the show, I assume.
Possibly. We dabble in it.
Yeah. So do you do this during games? Do you kind of?
So we never will. We'll always schedule it on off days, or if they're playing early, because we would rather watch the Phillies than us. So.
Okay, little Worcestershire sauce to give a little kick. I didn't bring ice. Do you guys?
We got ice. Beautiful. How about this right below you, Glenn? This is like.
Oh, there you go. I see it. Okay. My hands are slippery. Can you open that? I just got that today. A little Cholula, a little hot sauce. I am a fan of the Cholula. Just a couple of these. There you go. Okay. Oops. Squirt of lime, not too much. And a little bit of ice.
Oh, you're doing that. You're getting a little love.
I am.
Yeah. Great guests, great beer, great stories.
There you go. Thank you, Dad.
Jason says he's going to keep it professional since the legendary Glen is here.
Oh, well. I don't know about legendary, but I appreciate that.
A lot of fuck the Mets going on.
Yes, well, I would never disagree with that. All right, and then we just kind of wrap that up, make it look nice. Now just drop it in there. What the hell?
All right.
One,
there you go, Chris.
2.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
3. Oh, you're getting the other one. There
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that's all there is to it.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody.
Mayo, boys.
There you go. Not bad.
So, Glenn, when I was going to Roman and listening to your show, cutting class in this small room, I couldn't imagine you being here doing a Michelada. So 15-year-old me is like freaking out, but so's 50. So thank you for doing
Well,
this. This is
that-
awesome.
that is fine. Thank you. I find that as I get older, everybody who listens to me seems to like listen at a younger age. When I started, I was like, yeah, I listened to you in college. And now I get people like, oh God, when I was going to kindergarten, my dad.
You're like, oh my goodness. So working across radio, TV, print, and stage, how do those experiences compare? And what do you like more now?
Now I really like stage, and I've done some acting, some theater acting with Sophomore Players Club. I've been in about 7 or 8 plays there, comedies, dramas, musicals, getting on stage and singing and dancing. And the reason I like that is because it takes me out of my comfort zone, and it's really hard for me. And as they say in Bull Durham, the hard is what makes it good. And it's really, I'm old enough that I don't get as many challenges as I would like in life. And so being on stage in front of live people and having the possibility that I could really screw it up. Can I swear on this thing?
Yeah,
You can
I could really fuck it up in front of an audience.
Right.
I never got to do that on the radio.
I know. It's like, Glenn, have at it.
I would have lost my job in a second. But kind of the working off of the fear and adrenaline of that is really fun, which is not to minimize any of the other jobs, which I've loved all of them.
So you're doing Diary of Anne Frank, more of like a serious role, and then Clue, which is, more of a fun role.
I was Colonel Mustard. I was like the bumbling idiot. That was easy.
Glenn, what's been your favorite moment or interview that you've done in your broadcasting career?
I'll give you my favorite moment. It was, I don't know that I have the date exactly right. It was March 2003, maybe like March 19th, something like that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Could be. It was the night before they blew up the vet, and I was working nights then, and I was on from 7 to 11, and we were doing the show that you would expect, which is nostalgia for the vet, and everybody talking about the time they went there with their dad, or I saw the Phillies do this there, or whatever, and a caller said to me, "Gosh, I wish I could see it one more time." And I was on from 7 to 11. This was like 8:30. And I thought, yeah, we ought to do that. And I said, I tell you what, if you go down there at 11, I'll go down at 11 and we'll toast the vet. Shockingly, beer was involved.
Surprise.
And so the next caller said, like, yeah, I'll come down and I'll bring cigars. And the next caller said, and like all of a sudden, like 15, 20 callers over the course of the show said, like, yeah, let's meet down at the vet after your show and just like have a little bit of a wake. And the Philly cops called and they said, like, we hear what you're doing. Like, look, if you're going down there, a lot of it is cordoned off because they're blowing it up. So you can park on this street. And they really were helpful. And I got off the air at 11 and I drove down there thinking like, yeah, there'll be 20 idiots down there. And it was, it was March, it was a little chilly and we'll do it. And as I'm getting closer, I'm seeing there's like crowds of people and I'm not quite thinking what they're there for. And I parked and there were like 100, 150 people from Conshohocken and Camden and, South Philly and Southampton. And everybody wanted to do like one last goodbye to the vet. And that's what I loved about radio. What I loved about that night is there was a certain connection with the audience that you didn't get in other media that we could do that night. And we all went down there and we toasted and we drank beer and cheap red wine. And we sang the Eagles fight song and we remembered the Phillies, Mike Schmidt's home runs and so on. And we drank all the beer and then we went home and the next morning they blew up the vet. And it was a great moment for me.
I mean, for guys our age, the vet, that was our home.
That's where you grew up.
That's where we grew up at. So
yeah.
it was a dump, but it was
a dump, but it was your dump. When I moved to Philly, I moved here from Detroit in '86, and I loved Tiger Stadium. And when I got here and I saw the vet, I'm thinking like, this city deserves better than this for football and it was flawed for both. But I understand that it's like your childhood bedroom, right? The house you grew up in might have been like, my childhood bedroom was like 8 feet by 8 feet, but I loved it because it was my bedroom. And I think that's how people felt about the vet. It was their ballpark.
And Chris and I both played there. We got to play it.
Yeah.
Mike,
is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve played there. Yeah. And so Yeah, it's close to our heart.
And when this was built, Steve gifted us a piece of the vet, so it's over there on the tap. So it's an actual boulder that I don't know how he got it, but I'm
Wow,
not
look
going to
at
ask.
that.
But
Yeah.
you know,
I got a
it's
piece
here.
of the vet turf that I got when they
Oh.
flew the thing up. And
Cool.
I walked by it and my knee hurts.
I was just gonna say, did you get it fumigated?
By the way, can I just say, this garage is the greatest thing in the world. I came across you guys because the TV show What's Brewing, we did a photo contest, and you guys entered. And the moment I saw this thing, I thought, these people know how to live right. So I applaud you guys.
Thank you, Glenn.
Hey, Glenn, go from like your biggest moment to like who's your biggest influence in your career over the years?
Can I say Ray Didinger? Is that fair to say my partner? I got to
Oh,
partner
yeah.
with Ray
Yeah.
for 20 years. I knew Ray a little bit before we went on the air together. Just the consummate professional, kind of in a business where people can kind of have an edge to them. And it often goes with the territory. Ray never did. And yet Ray was nobody's fool. Ray knew how to ask the tough questions, not back away from it, have his serious point of view, but still be a man of the people. And so I would say my Ray, who's kind of become my older brother, has been a great influence on me.
Huh. What did you love the most about sports talk radio? I assume it's not the callers, you know. At times, not every caller.
At times, so I went into radio from print. First I was a political writer actually back in the day, and then I was an investigative reporter, and then I was an education writer, and then I became a sports writer briefly. I was with the Inquirer, and then I got the job at WIP. And what I loved about it is when you write a story for the newspaper, you write it, and then it goes out there, and like you don't see anybody read it. Right. Occasionally I would be like in a SEPTA train. I'd look over like, that guy read, and they're like, I wrote that. Right? But you don't. And in radio, you take a stand, you have your point of view, and people will agree with it or disagree with it. But you have this connection. I said that before, but you have this connection with the audience where anything you do is immediately under review. And that was really fun. Just kind of being able to talk with the people about whatever was going on and get their feedback immediately.
Preparation, like watching the games, wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I'd assume. So, you know, what was that like?
I'm going to start by telling you what retirement is like, because what retirement is like is, hey, it's Tuesday night and I don't have to watch the Sixers.
Thank
don't watch
goodness.
them.
There are years when that's been good.
Bless
But
him.
there's years where it's like, been a chore. And there are
Yeah.
years where, God bless the Phillies, but watching the Phillies was like, oh, I got to keep up with this. The preparation is, I'm not watching games 365 days a year, but you're always checking in every night on what's going on in the game. And if it's something interesting, you better get there and tune in with it. Preparation was being down at the ballpark and talking to people. Preparation was, going to 27 websites before I had breakfast and just kind of knowing everything that was going on, talking to people, talking to sources, kind of being out in public enough to get I would go to the Wawa every morning and get coffee just to find out what the two guys behind the counter thought, because in a lot of ways, those two guys, and I miss you guys, I haven't been to that Wawa in a little bit, but those two guys were kind of my barometer of things. So it was, it was always, listen, following sports for a living is a blessing. My jobs where I got to follow sports for a living and drink beer and get paid for it. Like, that's a pretty good gig. And I'm blessed to be able to do it. But there is a certain responsibility when you do it that you have to really stay up.
Have some knowledge.
Yeah.
Moving into the beer world here, since you just brought up drinking beer and getting paid for it.
Yeah, let's drink beer.
What inspired you to get involved with Conchi Brewing, and what is your favorite Conchi beer?
Okay. What inspired me to get into it was I have a friend, Andy Rosen, who we would go out. He and I kind of like craft beer. I don't want to say early on, but when it started to rise up in the 90s in this town, and we would find interesting places to go and drink interesting beers, some local, some not local, some foreign, and just kind of really creative stuff. And he would always say to me, someday we're going to own a brewery. And I would say, yeah, you're drunk. Just let's get the next. You know? and then we go a year later. He's like, someday we're going to own a brewery. And I said, like, you're full of shit. You paid the bill. And then one day we went out. I remember it was a place in Media. And we went out and we were having a beer. And he said, someday we're going to own a brewery. And I started rolling my eyes. And he said, and that's now. And he had found investors. He had found a great brewer who was our initial brewer. A guy named Andrew Horn, God bless him, and he had found a location, and it's like things had started to come together, and I met with these people, and it's like I'm in, and it was fun. I invested enough money that I always had a seat at the bar, but not too much money that if it went south, I'd have to tell my kids, like, sorry, boys, there's no inheritance. And we're now 11 years in, and I can tell my kids, hey, you're still getting an inheritance. So that's a good thing. My favorite beer, I have a few, and I brought a few. And this is one of my favorites. This is Puddler's Row, which is an English-style pub ale. There aren't a lot of places that make it. I think we make it really well. It's malty, and I really like it. So that's one of mine. And one of my other favorites, I'm an IPA guy. Our MC5 is good. It's a really good hazy IPA. And this one, Life Coach, is one of my favorites because it's a very tasty IPA, but it is only, you can have a few of these. I can't find it. Like 4.5%, 5.2%. So you can have a couple of these and still, find your way home from the ballpark.
Very good. We have a question from the audience. Steve, you want to ask your question?
I was going to say, when you and Ray became partners, was that a producer's doing, or was that your doing, or his?
So here. That's a great question. Here's the story with that. I'm going to tell the real story with that. So I was working middays at the time with Anthony Gargano, and at the time, Howard Eskin and Mike Missinelli were working together, Drive Time. They hated each other. They were going to kill each other. And what started, I think, the program director put them together because he thought it would be like interesting to hear two guys who argue. And then, like, after a while, it just sounded like it's like you live next to neighbors who are always arguing. And for the first couple of weeks, it's like, let's hear what they're saying. And then after a while, it's like, God, please just shut up. So he had to split them up. So Mike moved into middays with Anthony, and Howard started working with Ike Reese. God bless Ike. He survived that experience. And so I moved to nights. And when I moved to nights, 7 to 11, the program director said, you can work 4 nights a week and 1 weekend shift. Any weekend shift, you pick it. I feel bad that I'm moving you off of this thing and moving you to nights. You pick whatever weekend shift you want. So I started to look at the weekend shifts. And the first one was Saturday mornings with Ray. And I thought, I'm doing that. And so that's how it happened. I got the option to work any one of those shifts, and that was an easy choice.
Cool. Thanks for that, Steve.
That's pretty awesome.
Hey, back to Conshohocken.
Yeah.
I feel like you can separate yourself from the owner to answer this question.
Yeah.
What sets Conshohocken Brewing apart from other craft breweries around here?
That's a good question. And there are a lot of great craft breweries around here. And I frequent a lot of them, and we do the show What's Brewing, so I get to go to all of them. There's a few things. I think we have a really nice atmosphere inside of our places. If you go to our place in Conchi, right off the trail, we get all the people riding their bikes and so on, and you can bring the dogs out onto the deck and so on. And it's just, I think it's a very friendly place. I think all of our places, the culture is one that's very welcoming and friendly. Again, not exclusive to us, but I think we do that very well. And I think we have a really solid variety of beers. Everybody's drinking IPAs these days. I'm an IPA guy, but you can get, this, which I mentioned before. You can get our Ring the Bell Lager, which is top-selling craft beer at Phillies games, by the way. We have stouts and so on, and so you get a nice variety of stuff at our place.
Yeah. So what's next for Conshohocken Brewing? Is there expansion? Is it new styles, collaborations? What's kind of out there?
Yeah, we've done a lot of collaborations and they've worked. And I've been really proud to be part of a lot of the ones we've done. Some of the charity beers we've done. I think I brought some Fransky in LA. I don't know if you guys have
Yes,
that.
we
Okay.
do have some in
Okay,
there.
so
Yeah.
we did the Fransky in LA. There you go. There's the Fransky in LA
Yep.
with Scott and Larry, and money for that goes to charity. We did a Jonesy beer with Keith Jones.
That was
was-
excellent, by the way.
And that was a really nice, that was an amber lager. That was really nice. We did one with Mark Zumoff. We did Merrill and Mike, which we bring back. And I think looking at those, let me put it this way, and I'm the guy who's put those deals together. That's one of my roles there is to work with those figures. And I can't say I'm trying to get one done that if I can get this one done, it's going to be a really good one. But
Drunk Phil's fans? Is that
pardon me?
Drunk Phil's fans? Is that the one you're trying
Drunk Phil's fan. Yeah. We could do a little one-off. Yeah, I mean, we could make something
We
like
can
that.
talk.
Yeah.
Because there's the Great Sports Debate one, which was,
Yeah, the Great Sports Debate one with all my pals, right?
Yeah.
Angelo, Jason, and Al. Actually, I went to dinner with those guys last week when we had the charity event for that. A nice guy bid a lot of money to go and have dinner with us down at Ralph's in South Philly. We did that last week. I'm proud to say that I'm aging the best of the four of those guys. Those guys look horrible.
And the Bassets. So we loved the vanilla and the strawberry. That was like a
Yeah.
huge
Yeah, and
favorite.
more of those coming. Bassett's is the oldest ice cream company in America. They're great. They make great ice cream.
Yep.
And they're a real solid local Philly identifiable brand. So when we started, I used to do their ads on the radio one year. And here's the thing. They paid me money, not a lot, but they paid me a little money. But they gave me 7 pints of ice cream every week.
Nice.
Right. And like, I didn't care about the money. Just like, when's the guy coming with the ice cream? I got so fat that summer. And my freezer was, I have a freezer and then I have a basement freezer. And I have a garage freezer. And they were so filled with ice cream that like anybody would walk in my house, I would say, please take a pint of ice cream. The guy came to read the meter. It's like, here, take a couple of these. So I love Bassett's and our collaboration with Bassett's.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
So most of us, some of us here, and I know I got to meet you at one of the tapings of What's Brewing.
Yeah, because you guys won a contest.
That's right. So what inspired you to start that TV show?
I'll give credit, most of the credit to Joe Sixpack, Don Russell, who is my old partner in that, who has since he retired and moved to France. So yeah, he left. So now I'm doing it with another guy, Lou Bryson. But we started doing it as a podcast, and we did it for a few years. Had a great time doing it. Couldn't make a penny, but had a lot of fun drinking beer.
Sounds
And-
familiar.
Yeah, podcasts are great. You're not going to send your kids to college on it, but they're great. And then the producer of the old Great Sports Debate, which was my show back in the day, said they're looking for programming over at what is now NBC Sports Philadelphia. We talked about briefly doing like a sports movie show based. I had written a book about sports movies with Ray, but it was getting the rights for the clips was tough. And we thought, okay, people who watch NBC Sports Philadelphia and people who drink beer, there's probably a lot of crossover in that Venn diagram. So we pitched it and they bit. And so I thought, like, do I want to do a show where I visit different breweries every week and drink beer and talk about it and get paid? Yes. Yes,
Most of
I
us do that anyway.
So,
and,
so we just finished. Right, we just finished our 10th season, and
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
yeah, we're hoping to do an 11th.
That's awesome. So, on the same vein, give us a little insight on how you choose where you go to film those.
They pay us.
Yeah?
Well,
I mean,
basically,
part out loud.
basically that's the case. Is we have advertisers, we have deals with Montgomery County Tourism, Valley Forge Tourism, sometimes Bucks County Tourism, and so it's like, okay, you'll be a sponsor, and we'll go to 8 breweries within Bucks County this season or Montgomery County. Usually they will send me a list of potential ones, and I'll kind of go through it and think about the ones that'll be interesting or different, or yes, we definitely have to go to this one. And sometimes places will just want us to come, and we do charge an appearance fee to do it, and we'll go and do it. We did a couple in New Jersey this year, but I mean, it's a business, and that's how it works.
So when you're doing these, and it's like maybe not beer that you particularly like. Like,
Yeah.
how difficult
Yeah.
is that to?
It's a good question. Truth be told, we drink a lot of beer every week, or we sample a lot of beer every week. And some of it is from that brewery and some of it is not. Okay. So, like, we'll be doing the thing on coffee stouts. Okay. And so I'll get like 6 or 7 different coffee stouts from around the country. And I'll try one and like, that one's pretty good. And I'll try one. It's like, oh, Jesus, that's horrible. And I will be, as critical as I can be. If I'm sitting in the brewery and I don't like the beer, I'm not going to lie and praise it, but I'm not going to sit there in front of the owner of the place who is paying us an appearance fee and go like, this is horseshit. Right? So I'm just kind of go, all right, let's try something else.
That's not bad.
And I'll just kind of, keep it
Politely
moving.
move on.
Yeah.
So are there any trends in craft beer that you're excited about or skeptical about?
I am excited about the rise of lagers. Again, I'm an IPA guy, an East Coast hazy Vermonty. I love those orange infused citrusy beers, but everybody makes them. Lagers kind of got left behind, and I think lagers have really risen up in the last couple of years and are having a moment. And I think that's really good. I don't want to say I'm skeptical about it, but I am unexcited about what is really a rise in very low alcohol or no alcohol beers. And I understand that this is an age when people are more interested in staying fit and so on, and their health and so on. But if you're going to drink a beer with booze in it. Don't drink a beer without booze. And so I don't love that trend at all.
We had a good friend from Pandemic Crew saying, "Evening, Prof. Many great memories of listening to you, Jody, GSD on Prism. Seeing you guys at McDonald's in Newtown Square, bumping into you at Pathmark and Broom also." He just, Caesar's giving you a shout out.
Tell Caesar I really appreciate it. And yeah, Jody and where's Caesar? Jody and I did a ton of shows at every McDonald's in the Delaware Valley, which was great and was fun. And we had really good loyal audiences that went there. And after like 2 years, my wife said, "You got to stop eating those Big Macs because it's showing on your waistline." So I would go to McDonald's and order a salad, which is not why people go to McDonald's.
So keeping kind of with that, you've been covering Philly sports for decades. What makes this fan base so unique to you?
Yeah, and I know it's the cliche, but it really is true. They just care so damn much. I've lived in good sports town. I grew up in Buffalo, which was a great sports town and still is. And I worked in Detroit, which was a very good sports town. I worked down in Florida. That was a lousy sports town. It is. Miami's a really bad sports town. It just is. And I went to college in Boston. I think Philly and Boston are very similar, which is they care so damn much, and they're really informed, and they can be critical. Detroit, Chicago, Buffalo, those kind of Midwest towns, they're great fans, but they're not as critical as Philadelphia, Boston, New York. The East Coast is tough, and I like that the East Coast is tough. And again, it's cliches as old as the world. But Philly is such a great passionate. People in this town, they care so damn much. And here's the thing I love about it, which is Philly is a town that has great universities and great hospitals and great museums and art institutions. But nobody goes and paints their face to go root for, Penn Medicine, right? Nobody does drunken Philly fans for the local hospital or art institution. But this draws it together, and it is the one thing. You go to a game at the ballpark and you see the guy who owns the business and the guy who shines shoes and people from the city and the suburbs and black and white and everything, and they're all together rooting for something. And it is the one thing that really brings this town together, and that's what makes it so special to me.
If Penn Medicine wants to pay for this, we'll paint. We're Quakers here.
They're getting a lot of my money. I mean, stuff I've been going through.
Glenn, growing up in Buffalo, what was your favorite baseball team?
When I was in Little League, I played for the Little League Tigers. So it was the Tigers.
Okay.
And then when I was 10, 11, Carl Yastrzemski won the Triple Crown with the Red Sox. And I had never heard of what the Triple Crown was before. And you're all too young to remember, but the 1967 pennant race was like 5 teams in the American League going down to the last day, all within a game or two of each other. And I so fell in love with baseball that year just because of that race. I think the White Sox and the Tigers and everybody was in it, and the Red Sox won. And so I became a Carl Yastrzemski Red Sox fan.
Which Philly team has the brightest future within 5 years? Championship aspirations.
Well, I mean, I still think the Phillies, because I think people kind of become jaded to the Phillies because they've disappointed in the playoffs the last couple of years. But I mean, if you look at the roster top to bottom, and there's a couple prospects who could be on the way, you have an ownership that has no problem spending money. I think the Phillies are the one that just, if the bats can ever have a September, October where they don't get cold, which could happen, right? And Nola just looked really good the last couple starts. Wheeler, You got a great rotation. I think they're going to have to add to the bullpen, but I still think this is a team that's built to win.
Okay.
So we're pretty critical.
We hope
Yeah.
Looking at the stats and the records this week, just doing some research for
Right.
this. They're 19 and 15, right? And
Right.
that's tied for 6th in the entire league.
Okay.
And that's National League and the American League.
6
And,
in baseball.
yeah, in baseball.
Okay,
And
yeah.
we're super critical because we have really high expectations.
Yeah.
So
Well, and listen, we see them all the time, so we see the flaws, right? And because people have been disappointed in the last couple of years, I think we're ready to say, like, oh, here we go again. This is going to happen. Trey Turner's going to do this. But I just think if you look at who they are and what they can achieve, they could do it.
our demeanor collectively is dictated by what the Phillies did the day before, or
Yeah,
the Eagles
sure.
did before.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's like, are you having a good day?
I love that about this town. So, you asked me, like, what makes Philly fans special? I remember, and this is more an Eagles thing than a Phillies team because they only play once a week. You could put a Martian on Broad Street on a Monday in the fall, and within a minute, he would know whether the Eagles had won or lost the night before, just by the way people are walking down the street, right? And, you guys live it, and you wake up and you're angry and so on, or it's like the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
That's great about this town.
Yeah. So in all your years covering Philly sports, Glenn, who do you think is the most underrated athlete to come through this city?
Ooh, that's a good one. Boy, you caught me by surprise on that one. Let me think about that. Nobody on the Sixers, for God's sakes. Trying to think of somebody on the. I don't know. Let me get back to that. I don't want to waste your time trying to think that up.
Yeah.
I got an easier one.
I'll email it to you.
I got an easier one. What's
Yeah.
your all-time favorite Philly sports moment? Any sport team.
Well, I mean, the Philly special is just so unbelievable to me, and it's the easy answer. I put that on my phone. It's still on my phone, and I swear to God, I've watched that thing 700 times over the years. And there'll be like, I'll be stuck at a red light, and I'm mad because I'm in traffic, and I'm not gonna, it's like I got to be this place, and like I'm gonna be here for 5 minutes of this, and I'll just call it up and play it. And I still, every time I watch Nick Foles catch that ball, I just get so excited about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put that right up there. That's one, and 1A would be Brad Lidge, the strikeout that ends it, and Harry Callis saying it, and Chris Wheeler walking over there and not ruining the moment. Good for Chris
Thank
Wheeler, right?
goodness.
Because he recognized this was the moment for Harry to do
spot.
it, but he's doing this thing, and that I would say that's 1 and 1A for me. Those are the moments, and I know everybody's going to say the Philly special, but like, how do you not? Right?
Chills on.
Yeah, I mean,
Brad
it
Lidge
was,
thing, though.
the Lidge thing was great.
Yeah, I
Insky,
think
right? It
Mike
was Eric
and
Insky.
Chris didn't go to work the next 2 days because they were just watching the Philly special. on
Yeah.
repeat,
Nobody went to work that
And
next
you know,
day. That was
Harry getting to call,
right.
Because
That
he
was
didn't in
great.
'80. It was like not allowed some radio rights or
Right.
TV
Yeah.
rights.
For years, it was like the Super Bowl, right? The Merrill and Mike don't call it the Super Bowl. Right?
Yeah.
It's only the national guys did. So for years, baseball was like that, and those guys got to call that, and it was just, it's great.
If you're like a Philly sports fan, you could ask anyone, "What did Harry say when we won?"
Yeah.
And everyone knows. And if they don't know,
World
then
champions
it's a
of
baseball. Like everyone
Right.
knows.
It's the greatest.
It's
It
like
was-
such a great moment.
Right, and that was also that ended the 25-year drought, which again I moved to Philly in '86, and so it was only 3 years into the drought, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
Buddy Ryan was here, maybe there's hope for that. No, but we thought, right?
Yeah.
And the Flyers were still really good. In '87, they were in the finals.
Yeah.
'92, they're in the final, or '93, they're in the finals, whatever. And all of a sudden, I start working here and doing radio here, and like nobody's freaking winning. And it was 25. It was 100 combined seasons without a title. I don't mean to ramble here, but one of the things that I feel bad about is both of my sons grew up during that time. And neither of them got to see a championship in their youth, right? They got it when they were adults, but neither of them got to grow up at age. When I was 12 years old, the Buffalo Bills won the AFL title, and I can still tell you every player on that team and their number and their position and right, because it's just ingrained in you. So when the Phillies won in '08, I was watching with my nephew, who was 12, and that's it for him. Like Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and Cole Hamlin and those guys, when he is 75 years old, he will be able to give you that lineup. And that made that so special, that ending the drought.
So a little bit about your acting career.
Yeah.
What is your most memorable moment on a movie or a play set?
I told you earlier about like the fear of screwing up.
Yeah.
So I did. It's memorable, not in a good way. I was doing Clue, which was a really fun show to do. And I was Colonel Mustard, who's like the drunken, goofy doofus. And I'm on stage. One of the things, there's 9 people in the play. There's a few more, but 9 main characters. And you're kind of on the stage the whole time. And it was like the 3rd or 4th night in it. And by the way, it was during the World Series. So I'm going to give you 2 quick stories. So my mind just started to drift for a second. And all of a sudden I realized like nobody on the stage is talking. And I realized like, oh shit, it's my line. And I tried to figure out where we were. And I recited a line that I jumped 2 pages in the script. And I like screwed it up because those 2 pages were pretty critical, because one of the characters was, if any of you have seen the movie, like one of the characters kind of becomes a suspect and leaves. And so like major stuff happened in that. And I realized after I said it, like, oh God, I screwed up. And what happened was, acting in something like this is like being on a team. My teammates saved me. And they realized what had happened, and they were able to seamlessly kind of pull it back to 2 pages earlier in the script and make it move forward without it seeming like I really screwed up. So that was really memorable. The other thing that happened that play, it was during the 2022 World Series and the Phillies Astros. And there's a guy backstage waiting to come on. He's in the green room and he's playing the cop who's investigating the thing. And those of us on stage we hear a doorbell ring, and it's the cop at the door, and we're all nervous, like, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And we go back and open the door. The cop is backstage watching the World Series. And we open the door, and nobody's there. And so the guy who plays the butler, who's one of the lead characters, who's really smart, he goes, I think I see somebody down the road, and slams the door closed, trying to buy time that the cop's going to realize and come out. So at this time, the guy who's playing the cop does realize, like, oh, crap, I got to be out there. He jumps up, and as he does, he hits his knee on the edge of a table, rips open his pants, and lacerates his knee, falls to the ground bleeding backstage, but knows he has to get on. So limps back to the door. Meanwhile, we're all in the front of the stage just trying to buy time, like trying not to pretend like we're screwed. He doesn't show up. We go back, open the door again, and he's there. white as a ghost and about to collapse.
Oh my goodness.
So those are two memorable moments.
Talking about memorable moments again and keeping on that, you remember a lot of firsts. The first time you went into a ballpark, the first time you did that. What was your first craft beer? And
Yeah.
where did you have it? Like, what
Yeah.
was that story?
Yeah. It's not a craft beer, but it was. We all grew up drinking, like Bud and Miller and those kind of things,
Yeah.
right? That's what you drink when you're poor and in college or whatever. And so that's what I'm drinking. And I remember my first Guinness, which again, it's not. It was more exotic when I first had it in the 1970s than it is now.
Mhm.
And just realizing, like, wow, beer can be something different. And it was creamy and it was different. And it was, the caramel in it and the malt in it. And I just thought, like, this is a whole different thing. I really, really like this. So that's it. I don't know if it's a craft beer, but the other part of that story is I went to college in Boston. There's a place in Harvard Square. I did not go to Harvard. Let's establish that. I had to buy a subway token to get over there. But there's a place in Harvard Square that was, I think it was called the Wurst House or some cliche name like that. But they had beers from like 97 countries. And so my roommate and I vowed, like, let's go through the alphabet this year. Right. And so it's like Algeria. No, probably not. But like Austria, Austria. Right.
Yeah.
And so we have a beer from, and we like made our way. I think by the end of the semester, we got up to like I don't know, Gambia. I don't remember, but we made a serious effort to get through it. And it was, I can't tell you the specific beer, and it's not so much a craft beer as a foreign beer, but just trying different beers from different countries when you're, 21 years old and used to just drinking the macro brews that was very exciting.
Yeah. So mine was like the Dickens Inn on 2nd and South.
Yeah. That was a
And
great place.
it wasn't craft, but again, it was Johnny Courage. And like, I'm used to getting things in pint glasses.
Yeah.
So you get a special mug and it's like, a special pour, and I'm like, oh,
you
I felt like,
you ever get a Guinness pour?
yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
We went to Ireland a couple of years ago, and they say the Guinness tastes better over there. I think it tastes better just you're in Ireland, so that's why it tastes better. But it takes like 90 seconds to do it correctly, and you have to take a break in the middle, and then at the end he puts the clover on top. That was incredible.
Yeah. Then you split the G. That's like something.
Yeah, we did that on the show this year on the beer show.
Yeah.
I failed miserably.
Well, you keep practicing.
Yeah, right.
So you've said a couple times today you're an IPA guy. So, so aside from your brewery, right?
Yeah.
What's your best local IPA and maybe one that you like nationally?
Oh, look at you! You think through big. There's a few local ones I really like. I like Stacy's Mom. I think it's really good. Hold on.
Evil Genius.
Evil Genius, Stacy's Mom. I think is a really good beer.
It's Uncle Junior's go-to.
Victory Dirt Wolf I like a lot. Trogue's Nimble Giant I like a lot. Those are three that I really like. And nationally, man, you did it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. We go up to Boston and Cape Cod every year. My wife's from up there. And we always stop in Massachusetts and stop at the Treehouse Brewing. And their stuff is just so can I don't have to drink this now, right?
No, yeah.
Great. Their stuff is great. I like Bissell Brothers in Maine is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I did a Vermont IPA driving tour a couple of years ago. You just look it up online and spend a day. I mean, Vermont is like, the size of Northeast Philly, right? So you just drive through Vermont in a day and stop at 4 or 5 breweries, and it's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Glenn, what brewery did you enjoy that is sadly closed or is no longer?
Anchor Steam. They were pioneers. Anchor Steam they were like one of the first. Fritz Maytag. I mean, they were before anybody was doing craft beer. They were doing craft beer when it was microbreweries, right? And you could get this beer out of California, but you couldn't really get it. You had to either go there or have a mule bring it back for you. And it was, really good before anybody else was doing it. And they kept their standards up for so long. And then they sold to some Japanese conglomerate. And within a couple of years, they closed. And I miss that. And I miss it both because I miss their beer and just sentimentally, they were one of the first. They were a leader.
So you did the ultimate sports movies with Ray Diddinger book, and had a foreword by Gene Hackman. How did this come about, and how awesome was that?
It was great. It was great. So Ray was working at NFL Films at the time, and NFL Films, Ray would write scripts, and then famous actors would come in and read his scripts. I mean, it was amazing. He would say to me, one week, like, Tom Cruise is coming in to read my script. And it's like, Jesus Christ. We have to pay him $10 million. Like, what? And so Gene Hackman was coming in to read a script. And Ray and Gene Hackman kind of hit it off. And, Ray's saying to Gene, like, okay, here we're trying to do this. And Gene was like really getting it and really into it. And Ray praised Hoosiers. But Ray was smart. And he also praised a sports movie that Gene Hackman was in that very few people have seen, called Downhill Racer, which was in the 70s with Robert Redford as a Olympic downhill skier and Gene Hackman as his coach. And nobody remembers the movie. It was very good. And when Ray pointed out to Gene Hackman, Gene really appreciated it. And Ray took a shot. I guess the Wayne Gretzky, if you don't score any of the shots, you don't take. And Ray said, so Glenn and I are writing this book. And would you think about writing the foreword? And Hackman said, sure. And they exchanged phone numbers. Well, Ray doesn't have a cell phone, but they. That's true, by the way. It's not a legend. That is really. Right.
Smoke signals, or
he picks it up and like, Phyllis, get me the sheriff. So Ray emails or whatever, and Ray wrote Gene Hackman and said, here's what you're looking for, and we thought, like, 2% chance it's going to happen. 2 weeks later, Gene Hackman sends back this foreword. And by the way, really good. Gene Hackman was writing after he retired from acting. He was writing and was a terrific writer, bless his soul. And he wrote it, and we changed like nothing. I had to call him up and say, like, Gene, it's like really good. We just want to change this word to this and this. He's like, yeah. And it was really well done. We did not expect A, that he would do it, and B, that it would be as good as it was. And we were delighted with it.
Kind of staying on that, we had Amanda, who has a couple of small children. We'd love to hear more about your children's books. Can you tell us a little bit about
Oh, yeah, that was fun. I don't remember how it started. I think somebody offered an opportunity to Anthony Gargano, and he turned it down and turned it over to me, which was there's a publisher. When I was a kid, I used to read, sports hero Carl Yastrzemski, right? I love Carl Yastrzemski, right? And so those books that probably you guys grew up reading about sports legend Lou Gehrig or whatever, right? And I read those, and the opportunity came up to write one of those. I'm trying to think. The first one I did might have been Alan. It was either Charles Barkley or Allen Iverson, because it was a local one. And they said, here's the assignment. It's whatever, 15,000 words. Figure out, like, here's a guide to what's a fourth grade reading level, because you want to write it at a fourth grade reading level. Not that different from my Inquirer, to be honest with you. And so I did it, and I interviewed Barkley for it. But a lot of it is just like going through clips, and like what you want to do on that is write about how they grew up, because kids reading the books want to identify with the person. So Charles Barkley got cut from his junior high school team. The coach told him he couldn't jump well enough. So he spent an entire summer jumping over the fence in his backyard, showed up the next fall, made the team. Stories like that. And I really enjoyed it. And then, so I did another one. I think in the end, I did about 12 of those. I still get a check like every 6 months for $17, because they'll still sell a couple of them. But I did a bunch of those. Several of them, the Dallas Cowboys, I'm embarrassed to say, but Troy Aikman was actually a pretty nice guy to interview.
yeah.
Sorry.
So back in 1986, when you got the job at the Inquirer, what were your thoughts coming to a city like Philadelphia?
Oh, so excited. I lived in Detroit, and I really liked Detroit, but my wife was from the East Coast, and the Inquirer at the time was winning Pulitzer Prizes. It was one of America's great newspapers. It was a fun opportunity to write a beat that not a lot of people were doing. I was covering sports business, sports labor issues, sports money issues, the stuff that sports writers didn't want to write about, so they just passed it along to me, which was fine. and I really liked it. And I'd been to Philadelphia a couple of times. I didn't really know the city, but had a sense of it that's, I think, really proven true, that it was a big, vibrant, energetic, fun city that really cared about sports. And so I thought this'll work well. It's the greatest break in my life that I got to move to Philadelphia, raise my kids here, work here, live here. I am Mr. Chamber of Commerce, loving this town. I'll talk it up to anybody.
So, Glenn, I want to talk about Stratomatic with you.
Yes. Now we get to the good part.
I am like, when I heard one of our fans was in a league with you, and I was like, oh, Glenn likes Stratomatic? I was like,
which do you know which league it was?
I don't.
I'm
but
in
it was
5 leagues. I'm an idiot. I'm in 2. I'm in an AL league and an NL league.
Okay.
Very invested in Aaron Nola, by the way. I drafted him as a rookie, and I need him to come back. I'm in a league that's current, like throwback league. Have you ever been in a throwback league? I'm in a league that's currently in 1993, one that's currently in 1986, and one that's currently in 1960.
Okay.
So yes, I've been playing Stratomatic since I was 11.
So that's like this. When you said that, I was like, oh, Glenn, I've been doing the same. So to explain to people that may not know what Stratomatic is, and I do, right?
Who are those people? I don't want to know.
I've been telling Mike and Chris and Jared and Sig, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I love this. I'm more of I played online, but I like cards and dice.
Yeah, it's the old one.
Because I like to get away from screens and video and things like that.
Yeah.
So what do you do, and why do you like it more or less than the other?
Well, I do. It's now all on the computer because the leagues I am in are not local, right? I'm in leagues that are all guys from all over the country, which is something like the one league I'm in now, which is the National League I'm in now. I have been in that league since 1984, and a lot of it, I am the longest, I guess the oldest, but not the oldest, but I'm the longest running guy in the league. But there are other guys in this league who've been in it for 30, 40 years, okay? And we get together once a year for the draft at my house. And then actually the next day we do the American League at my friend's house in New Jersey. But there are guys in the league from Texas, from Florida, from South Dakota moved to Colorado, but he was from South Dakota, from Illinois, from St. Louis. And these are my friends who once a year we get together and play. Anyway, that's not answering your question. The answer is I play on the computer now because it's the way to share the stats and so on. You can't roll the dice and write the number and so on.
Yeah,
but I missed that. I missed the orange split cards. My orange split card number 9 had a crease in it. So I always knew when it was coming
when you were
out.
getting a 9.
Should I steal or not steal? I think I will.
So the beauty of it to me is that you can play. There's been talks. You've probably done shows on 1980 or the 2008 Phillies.
Yeah.
Are they better? You can do it.
Yeah.
So in the screen, you can see that we have the 1964 Ballantine Connie Mack Stadium.
That's phenomenal.
So it's September 10th, 1964. The Cardinals are playing the Phillies, and I want to see. Is this
before the collapse?
This is before.
Okay.
So we can change everything tonight.
So who am
I? You're going to be the Cardinals. So we're going to bring out.
I'm the visitor. There you go.
We're going to bring out a replica of Connie Mack Stadium.
Oh, that's great.
And we have the cards and dice.
And
so
you got the 20-sided die. Oh, let's do it.
We'll play half an inning here each.
All right,
so the idea is there's
I got
cards.
Ray Sadecki on the hill.
Yes.
He was still good then.
And I have Chris Short on the hill.
Yeah, great year for the lefty.
We'll play just the front.
All right.
And the back it's a little bit more in depth.
We're doing the basic?
Yeah, let's just do the basic and just keep it as that. So since
splits.
you are the one who is going to be playing at Connie Mack, you bat first.
All right, there you go.
So here's the dice here.
Let's go Phillies.
All right, relax.
Let's go Phillies.
Leading off, I got Kurt Flood, who's a pretty damn good player then. Tremendous defensive center fielder. It's a 6'5", so it's on your card.
So 6'5" is a strikeout on Chris Short. So we got one out.
Yeah, this is going to go. All right, Lou Brock, if he gets on, I got news. We're stealing.
All
right, 1-6. That could be good. That is a double 1 to 12 single 13-20. Where's the purple die? Did we lose it already?
Is it? Oh, it's got to be on there.
We lost the
somewhere.
one-sided
Oh,
die. Oh,
come
here
on.
it is. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Okay.
We'll have to.
What did I say? Double 1-12, single 13-20. It is a 7. A double.
Double. So
for
we got
Brock.
Brock on
There you
second,
go. Let me
one
see.
out.
Does he want to steal? He might want to steal. Where's my lead?
We have Gus
All right.
Criandos.
Well, hold on. I might want to steal with this guy. I don't remember how to steal on basic. Do you?
So yeah, so it's stealing is
Double A.
double A.
Do you have the
So-
chart with you?
I do have the chart.
There you go.
Look
All
at
right.
this.
Let's
So-
go.
Shocker.
Double A is 1 to on
To steal
third.
third,
It's
yeah,
1
okay.
to 11.
Nah, too risky.
All
All
right.
right. Never mind. He's staying there, but big lead. Big
Okay.
lead off. He's short.
Single
round.
scoring.
Short. Dick Grote, shortstop, MVP one of those years. Dick Grote's got a 2.8. That could be good too. Oh, triple 1-4. The home fans are not going to be.
Yeah,
happy
that's
here.
we're
That is a 1.
all right.
Triple.
We're down 1-0.
Short's
One out.
getting
Man on
rattled.
third.
All right. Where's
Fire
Johnny?
Topper.
Johnny
He was the
Clipstein.
manager then.
Johnny Clipstein warming up in the Phillies bullpen.
Johnny Boozer, I think.
John Boozer. Appropriate name for this show. All right, Ken Boyer is up. 1 run in. Where I got a man on third? He triple?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. There
Yep.
you go. All right, here you go. 6-6. That's probably good for you.
So 6-6 is a ground ball to shortstop, and that is you're going to score. So it's
There you
yeah,
go.
so
2
that's
runs
2-0.
in, 2 outs,
I
2
gotta
in.
fuck the Cardinals on here.
Wait, who the hell is this? Charlie James.
That's what I was
Who is
saying. I
Chris
was like,
James' dad? Who is this?
I snuck that in
His
because
mom's
I
not
can
with you
put
right
Bill
now.
White in there. All right, Charlie James is up. Let's end the threat. 6-2.
so 6-2 is a fly ball right
All
field.
right, so I got 2 runs. Phil's in some
2
trouble at
runs,
home.
and yeah,
The
that's
Cardinals.
Hey, man.
so we're gonna have
It's
Cookie
all, listen, it's all the strategy of the manager.
Cookie Rojas
Oh, that's your
leading
leadoff
off.
hitter?
Yeah, so that's a 4-3 with Cookie as a righty.
Oh, 4-3.
So
I'm
that's on
sorry. Where's my
Sadecki.
Ray Sadecki?
Oh, it's over here.
Okay. 4-3, Ray Sadecki. It's a fly ball left field X. So pull the split card.
All right.
Oh, it's
so
this is yeah, we got the die. It's a 7 on a fly ball. What do I say? Left field.
yes.
My
so-
left fielder is that James idiot? Who is he? No,
Yeah,
Lou Brock is my left. He's a left fielder.
Oh,
3.
he's a 3.
Yeah, not a
Okay.
good fielder, Lou. this year.
So left fielder's a 3, and it was a 7.
Yeah.
It's a fly out.
Oh, there you go,
Yeah, it's still
Lou.
a fly out. That works.
Lou flashing the leather.
All right. So next up is going to be Danny Cater playing first base for the Phils in 64. They had a lot. They had Vic Power.
Yeah, it
So
was an unsettled position. wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was
Okay.
the guy that Frank Thomas that
Oh,
hit
yeah,
Dick
yeah.
Allen and
Noted racist.
yeah. Yep. All right. So
3-7.
3-7. And that is a single. So we got a guy on first. Phil's finally have a guy on first.
Danny Cater stealing a base here.
Now he's going to stay put. He's stealing E.
Yeah.
So now we have Callison.
All right.
So,
you're getting it. Yeah, that heart of
now
the
we're getting
order.
into the
Think also
5-10.
5-10 on Sadecki is a pop out to the first baseman, Gold Glover Bill White.
Yeah, that's an out.
It's
all right.
all up to Dick Allen.
Richie
Boy.
Allen.
Oh, Richie. That's
Richie
right.
at this point. Yeah.
Richie looking for Hall of Fame credentials.
Yes.
Right now can
He could really cement because he's going to be there in Cooperstown this what is it? July?
Yep.
5-10.
We just did that.
Another
It's the same
5-10.
pop out. Bill White.
Here we go. Cardinals win 2-0.
Folks, trust me, I just saved you from a painful September.
We just lost a little bit earlier than we thought to.
Friend of the show and Beer Gods admin Arlene wants to know what we're drinking. So we're drinking a little bit of everything. We have micheladas, we got Puddler's Row, we've got Ring the Bell, a lot of Conshohocken beers going on.
Fransky in LA.
Fransky in
It's in
LA.
LA. Good.
Yep. So when we're kind of talking about the Phillies here to transition, what do you think of Turner, and should he move to second? or outfield or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you pull that off mid-season, right? So I think it would be crazy to try to do that now. I mean, if he walked into the manager's office and said, "Listen, I realized my range and my glove's just not what it should be. I'll move to an easier position on the spectrum," I guess I would listen, but that's not going to happen. I think next year you start looking at him as an outfielder for the rest of his career. He's a dangerous hitter. He's a great base runner. He's got a lot of things going. His glove is subpar for a very important position. So I would next year move him probably to left field.
Okay.
We got Andrew Painter.
Yeah.
Just been promoted to AAA.
Yeah.
So hopefully an MLB appearance is on the horizon, a debut. What do you do with the rotation if Painter comes to the big club?
Right. Good problem to have, right?
It's a great problem.
And by the way, I saw Mick Abel had a really good month too,
He's throwing
right?
really
So
well.
Yes.
I don't know the timetable for him, but he's really doing well. Well, I mean, this assumes everybody stays healthy, right? And assumes that Ranger Suarez does better than he did his first game last night because it was his first game of the year. So I'm assume that we get the Ranger we had last year. If we have that, I think I just break the kid in as the long man. And if he does well at that, I move him to setup for the year. I don't know that he's ever relieved. I don't know his history. Probably
Would you go
not.
6-man with Ranger?
I might go 6-man in September just to kind of save the arms, right? I mean, if Wheeler and Nola are up toward approaching 200 innings at the time, I might go 6.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly, my plan is not to move anybody currently in the rotation out of the rotation. You have really good starters, so listen, it'd be a great problem to have.
So we've been talking a lot about Alec Bohm on our podcast.
Have you?
Is,
How's that working out?
Not too good.
Yeah.
Is he just not made for Philly, or what's your opinion on that?
I don't think it's that. I mean, the episode last year, but I think he really kind of came around on that. I just think he's a guy. I think he's just an okay player. I think he's a guy who doesn't give you enough power for the position. He's streaky, which is nice when he's on a hot streak, but God, that hasn't happened in a long time. His glove has gotten better. He's moved away from the Ray. Ray gave the greatest nickname to Alec Bohm, and Reese Hoskins, which was the corner butchers, which was just brilliant.
We had that meme on our page for a long time.
It was a brilliant nickname that he came up with, and I think he's improved. I think his defense is okay, but now his offense is no good. They looked to move him last year to improve the position. They really couldn't get what they wanted for him. I don't think he's here for the long term. I don't think it's a Philly thing. I just think he's just a guy.
So Glenn, Rob, who you met, he was played with us at Roman baseball. So Roman Catholic High School, we went there, and I deemed him the butcher for obvious reasons. And Rob, I don't know what the right thing to say is, but I guess it's you have one. What do you say? Is it is it PC?
What are you trying to say? Let him speak for himself. No, yeah, it was just one of those things. It actually came about playing wiffle ball, and they would hit it to me on purpose because I would just butcher everything that was hit.
So people aren't seeing this. I mean,
yeah. So
the gentleman has
could
one arm.
Could you come in and focus, Rob? Yeah, he's one of our co-hosts, so we're going to harass
Well, I
him.
think everybody at home knows already.
Okay.
By now. They're pretty.
Well, all your new audience,
But
you're pulling into.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
But it was.
They didn't call you lefty, did they?
No, I've gotten that a little bit.
Yeah.
It was a neighborhood nickname, and as soon as Chris found out, he was like,
I can't.
the dick on the team. So believe it or not, no, but
So did you do the Jim Abbott thing where you would catch the ball, drop the glove, and throw the ball?
Absolutely.
Man,
I
that's
only
It was
pitched-
awesome.
I pitched twice in my career, both in pony ball. The first game, 14 walks in 6 innings. But I also had 6 strikeouts.
That sounds like you're in Romano.
Yeah, that's
I
Lelouch.
played for the Phillies, right? But now I play first base, which is more than that,
Good for you.
less transitioning. So,
Good for you.
yeah.
Butcha.
Shit.
Butcha.
Before we wrap up, I kind of want to talk about, so we've been harping on as a podcast, I feel like as people that for the Phillies, their chase rate was something we cared about, these analytics, and it was up in the 30s.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's not have them chase anymore. Let's not have Turner chase. Let's not have Nick chase. And they've stopped mostly. And their numbers are down, but so are their home runs.
Yeah.
Were we wrong? Should we let them swing away and let just them be them?
No, because it'll kill you in September. Again, you face, so you get to the postseason, you're facing better teams with better pitchers, right? And if you're going for the home run, you're going to strike out more likely than not, and that's kind of what happened the last few years. I mean, that game against the series against Arizona was just right.
That was the one.
Fat. What was his name? That kid. Jesus.
A lot of.
They got to him the other night. That was nice, but I think in the long run, this is the better approach. Look, you have your home run hitters who can go for that when they need to go for that. It's the 8th inning. I'm down by 2 runs. Schwarber's up with a man on base. I don't need you to try to go opposite field for a single. And that's when I need you to go for a home run. They're not going to forget how to do that. I think this is the better approach in the long run.
Okay. So let's wrap it up. Mike, do you have any final thoughts?
I
Or
get one bonus question from the
Of course.
from the crowd.
Of course.
Glenn, would you resign Kyle or JT?
Probably not Real Muto. Listen, he's had a glorious career, and it's not over yet, but he's clearly on the downside of his career. So signing him probably means you're signing him to a 3-year deal, and I would not invest in him for 3 years. Schwarber, yeah, I think Schwarber's still a really good, dangerous hitter. He's a great clubhouse guy. His teammates love him. He gets it. I'm not sure how old Schwarber is.
33.
33. Okay, I was going to say 32, 33. Yeah, I think he's got another 3-4 good years left. And no, I yes to Schwarber, no to Real Muto. And I love JT Real Muto, but not long term.
Very good. I can start. So, hey, Glenn, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
It's been a blast. I've gotten 30 texts from friends that said they've listened to you for decades, and
I
they love it.
appreciate that. You guys are great.
And just remember, everybody, if you're 45 years old, go and get your colonoscopy. It saved my life. We have coming up here in the next podcast, we'll have a finalize of our Colorectal Cancer Alliance
Donation,
yes. And I'll give you a sneak peek. We beat our goal of $5,000. So very cool.
That is great. I would never use the word colonoscopy and sneak peek in the same sentence. And I got mine last September, by the way. I mean, a couple small little things, but generally pretty good. And it's the day before is not a lot of fun, but you get it, and it's like the rest of the day is great. So I'm with you.
Yeah, propofol naps are good.
Yes.
Glenn, obviously, thank you for coming. It was great to meet you at the What's Brewing taping, and really appreciate you coming out to the garage and all the support that you've given us on the page. I just got to say, let's go Phils. The Phils are starting to play better. I think we're giving them a lot of shit that they don't deserve. They're actually a pretty good baseball team. But I want to see them play better. Let's sweep somebody for once. When we win 2 games, let's win that 3rd game.
It's Tampa now, right?
Yeah.
Going to Tampa.
Yeah. Come on.
Going to Tampa.
Playing that little.
We got our good luck
Thank
charm,
you,
Steve, going down.
That's right.
So
There you go. It's going to be a blast.
Rob,
The mush.
what do you
Glenn, I appreciate you being here. I agree with a lot of what you said tonight.
Not everything.
But
Hopefully not all.
But most of all, I quit drinking a while back, and you're basically saying how pointless it is to drink NA or low alcohol beer is right on fucking point.
There's so many good things. Drink a cream soda.
That's why I don't
It's
drink
way
anymore.
better.
I don't go into it. And they're like, really, never? And I said, no, never. Do you drink non-alcoholic beer? And I say, that would just be fucking dumb.
Yeah.
So thank you for being
Hey,
here.
thank
man.
you so much. Best to you.
Before I close it out, I'll add Andrew says Colligan thinks that a regular DPF on tap and Glenn Stratomatic feature has real spin-off possibilities. So, I agree.
I'll host a Stratomatic tournament at the brewery if Andrew wants to do it.
That-
Andrew, talk to me.
yeah,
We can do
that's
that.
absolutely awesome.
That'd be fun. We'll do that.
I'll come and drink.
Yeah.
I'm in the crowd. I'll
Come
go
on.
holler.
For the Philly podcast, Rob is from East Falls, right?
Glenn, thank you so much for coming here. This is like a dream. You are our first celebrity that's been here.
Well, it's low bar.
Well, I don't know if you lost a bet or.
The next celebrity will definitely take it up a notch.
But I appreciate you coming here. Thank you so much for making the
Thank you,
Micheladas
It was a pleasure.
so nice and bringing the Conshohocken beer. So good night, everyone. And,
Thank you,
let's
everybody.
get a W.
Fuck
So.
the Mets.
Fuck the Mets.
Fuck the Mets.